Hi guys, welcome to the 21st episode of In the Spotlight. Today is a super special episode as we have with us the face of Extraaa Innings T20, the host of Breakfast with Champions, and also the first non-athlete on In the Spotlight. Thank you so much for joining us, Gaurav.
Mudit, it's my pleasure. I hope you can hear me clearly. I hope the voice is clear. I hope the signal is clear. I hope that
Yep.
everything except my thought process is clear.
Yep, it's all clear, and we're gonna hopefully clear out the thought process as well. But yeah, you started off as a radio jockey, and then went on to host a show, then became a VJ. How did you get into this?
My journey into the media, let me just actually get these off me. Is the sound a little better now? Because it was glitching a bit. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Somehow my phone doesn't seem to like Instagram too much. It just, whenever I try to do one of these, it just keeps glitching out. But anyway, let's give it a shot. Sorry. So your first question was that
Yep.
how did I start, right? How did I get
Yeah.
into the media? Well, uh, basically in school, it's anything to get me out of class. So I used to play tennis. I used to play cricket. Cricket, not very well. Tennis, better. I used to sing. I was in the dramatic society. I was a debater. So anything that I could do to get on stage or on a court or on a field to just get out of class was how it actually all started. And then FM radio had just come into Delhi. I used to listen to it. So beautiful. It was like crackle free. We were suddenly coming into the 21st century. You could hear music without a crackle and a pop. And I got absolutely obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be on. And I think that's how it started. I was 17 and I just cold called and got an audition with Times FM. And yeah, that's where it started, basically.
So,
Unfortunately for my
how,
viewers.
no, but how did you sort of take to radio jockeying in the first couple of days, first couple of months? What is that experience like? And if someone is wanting to go into that, what sort of advice would you give them?
I love radio. Radio is an audio, still remains my favorite medium. Television, film, stage, but there's just something very joyous about it. And then that's why when I got a chance to do this Spotify podcast,
Yeah.
I just jumped at it because while everybody is discovering podcasting now and they're trying to figure out what exactly they can do with it, for me, it was like going back home. For me, it was like going back to where I started my career over 2 decades ago. So I clearly remember my first radio show, crystal
Yeah.
clear.
Okay.
15-minute slot, 9:45 in the morning to 10. I was pounding these producers. So I was in school at the time. It was summer. Just show up at the office because I had nothing else to do. My
Yeah.
pocket money was enough for bus fare from home to exactly to the Times FM office, right?
Yeah.
So I used to sit in that bus for half an hour, get there and just show up. And I'd just be sitting there going, give me a chance, give me a chance. And luckily, one of the days, or unluckily for somebody else, they fell ill. And I was sitting right in front of the producer when he got a call. And he saw me, this kid who was just not leaving him be. And he said, would you like to do a show tomorrow morning? And I said, yes. I had no idea what it entailed. I had no idea what I'd have to do, where I'd have to do it, how I'd have to do it. But in life, I've always, when I really want to do something, I say yes first, and then I just figure out how to do it. And I've done that with everything in life. So I said yes. And then they said, okay, you get a 15-minute live slot tomorrow morning. Now, bear in mind, I think I was 16 or I just had my 17th birthday. I don't know. And these guys tell me you got a 15-minute slot tomorrow morning, 6 in the evening. Tomorrow, 9:45 is your slot. No time to prep, no time to do anything, no time to learn, no time to call anyone. They just said, show up. I showed up there at 9:30 and just figured out how to work the console, what to speak, how to do it, how to play the songs. People were helpful. People were around me. And that's what happens. I feel like when you take a leap of faith, you find friends and well-wishers who will just help you. Because I feel like if you have sincerity, if there is integrity, Angels. I guess if I had more time to process it, I probably would have been nervous, but I just didn't have any time to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just that. I didn't have any time to be nervous. All my school friends were listening. All my friends in the school circuit, because I was doing dramatics and singing and I was doing a lot of things, so all of them were tuned in. So for me, the rest of Delhi didn't matter. It was just like, like 500 kids from my school are listening. Beta school ki izzat rakh lena. The flag should keep flying high. So I think that was it. I think it was just the excitement that just got me going through that first day. But the one thing I would tell people is say yes. If you really want to do something, the opportunity comes, just say yes.
And then
And then
figure it out later.
go along.
Yeah, guys. So obviously, I think saying yes was obviously the first step for him, and it should be for many people as well, because I think that's the first thing that you can do, and then, as he said, figure it out after. But from then on, how did you sort of transition into acting? How did that come along?
So, just like any uh, self-respecting Punjabi boy, I also grew up on a healthy diet of some questionable cinema in the 80s. The 80s and 90s, very questionable cinema for a large era. It was great. I loved it. So there was always this thing of being a performer and wanting to do stuff. Just anything. I just loved storytelling. So I would just do it wherever. If I got a radio mic, it was it. If I got on stage, that was it. If I got television, whatever. But acting was something I really always enjoyed doing in school, especially in plays and in the theater. But I soon realized when I came to films, now bear in mind what you see with the film industry now in its very structured and disciplined kind of module was not so 15, 17 years ago. There was still only story, and script was coming, dialogues were coming on a handwritten page, fax to the set, and you were just you were improving, you were making up your own stuff as you went along, and everything was very fluid. Yeah, I again was part of Channel V. One of the writers of Channel V, I used to jam with him a lot, and he started writing a film, and that film had a bad guy who is the funny guy through the movie, and in the end they reveal that he's a bad guy, right? He's the killer. I did supposedly 11 murders in that film. Sorry, 12 if you count my acting career as well. I think I murdered my acting career as well in that. So I started. He said, I've written a character which I've kept you in mind because it is a person who must not be suspected throughout the film. And I said, done, let's go. Let's do this. I'm ready. And that's exactly how I got my first film. That really was how I got my first movie, because I used to spend time with this writer and I used to say things to him which he found were sort of funny, and he incorporated a few of them in his script, and then he just said, will you play this part? So yeah, it's fairly lack of struggle kind of story when it comes to getting my first film. The struggle came when I had 3 or 4 films that didn't work. That's when I think the struggle is convince people.
Right.
Yeah, you know what they say in films is your first film kind of chooses you, right? So I think that's what happened, and then after that, I was just not very good, I think. But the realization and the acceptance that I was not good at that, and that I would be good at doing something else, was a very important learning phase for me. And I think acceptance of that is something we don't do. We are taught, try again, never give up, never give up. True, but if you're good at 4 or 5 different things, and you're doing one thing that you're evidently the least good at, I don't think there's any harm in leaving that and focusing your energies on something you're better at, or that is valued a little more. So yeah, I think that what we learned in our moral science books, try again. I think that's just the half of it. I don't think that's the entire moral. So I think the entire moral is try again, and then give up. No use being stupid about it.
Right. No, that's obviously, as one of our viewers is saying, a very bold statement, and I do agree with it. And, after that, you sort of tried to combine the two. You hosted a TV show. So, I mean, how was that sort of combining your whole radio side, movie side into like a TV show, being the host of Indian Holiday?
So I love live. It's either I'm just really lazy that I don't like to prep, or my memory is really shit. I can't remember lines. But I just really always enjoyed live. I always enjoyed the live interaction, the unplanned, the twist of phrase, the segue, sort of, just challenges on the spot, etc. So I always liked that. So for me, television, especially starting with Channel V was just that. Channel V was an improv artist's heaven. Like, you've died and gone to improv heaven. You could just do anything. They would just say, all right, this is the structure of the show. There's four of you. There's the camera. There's a mic. Go. Do whatever you guys want to do. So they gave us that leeway right in the beginning. Like, I think Azim Banatwala, the comedian, said that Channel V was YouTube before YouTube. So they just let us do whatever. And now, of course, Channel V is gone. It's dead. Rest in peace. It doesn't exist anymore. But at the time it did, and they just let us do whatever we felt like doing. And it was really weird. So that really, after live radio, doing Channel V really sort of sharpened my chops a little bit. So I think I realized after doing a few films, the last of which even I think my family also didn't watch the last 2-3 that I did. I think after that I realized that maybe it's time to focus my energies on live broadcast. And the IPL had come in India, and sport was, sort of booming. IPL was booming. So I figured that this is what I want to do. I want to do sport. Somebody's asking if I'm going to UAE for the IPL. No, I'm not. I'm going to be right here at home. This is my studio. If you can see, this is going to be my studio. I don't know if I can show you, but if you can see this, that's all the equipment that's lying there to set up my home studio. That's all the equipment. It's going to be set up in days. So I'm setting up my studio right here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So of course we're gonna obviously talk IPL. We're gonna talk sports industry, but obviously because of the show, you would have gotten to travel to a lot.
I just read Jivanshu's comment, and it's really funny. Bhai, kya karu yaar? Baal nahi kataye 6 mahine se.
So no, obviously we're gonna talk a lot.
By the way, Jivanshu, I want to address one thing though from Jivanshu's statement, is that he meant he of course meant ladki as an insult. I'll take it as a compliment, because that's what it is.
I'm not even sure whether he was talking to you or to me.
He is talking to me. I think it's my hair.
Yeah, probably. So, you obviously got to travel to a lot of amazing locations for Indian Holiday, and obviously now because of sports as well. So do you usually get to go around and see some touristy things, or how is it? Because obviously as athletes,
from 20 years ago, well done.
No, but I'm saying, basically as athletes, we get to. Can you hear me? Sorry, I think this is cracking a little bit. Can you hear me?
I can now.
Huh. No, so I was saying
obviously
yeah, I can hear you. So as athletes, obviously going around and doing the touristy stuff sort of means that you've lost early. So we don't really like that. But how is it for you? Do you usually get to go around, see some things when you travel, or no?
The crazy thing is that people always say, oh, I envy you. You did a travel show, and how was the travel show? It's crazy. You never get to a travel show is actually one of the hardest things to do, because your director every morning will want to wake you up at 5 o'clock to take a sunrise shot. Take a sunrise shot. You are walking. I'm in silhouette. You can't even see me. This is why I'm going to take a sunrise shot. So why are you taking a sunrise shot every day on this 8-day schedule? The sun is rising the same. Why are you waking me up at 5 o'clock? There was a bonfire night. We had a barbecue. We all had a couple of drinks. Remember, I was 18, 19. Free booze was like, whoa, I'm getting a free. And I've never been a drinker in my life. So you give me
Yeah.
like 2 drinks on a bonfire on a cold night, and that's it. I'm sleeping like a baby after that, right? And then your director's waking up at 5 o'clock, sunrise shot. Please, kya kare? So, yeah, show is really hard because you are up from way before first light. You are shooting way beyond. You are shooting way beyond sunset. So you only see places like you will go to a temple, but you're constantly walking around. Let's say the Konark temple and the Sun Temple, and you're walking around
Yeah.
the entire thing. But because you're always conscious about the camera and what facts you're giving, you don't really get to absorb the place. So sometimes you would get lucky. And one of the places that I've been to that I enjoyed the most was a place called the Rumtek Monastery in Sikkim.
Right.
So in just out of Gangtok, and we drove there. And what happened is, as soon as we got there, we realized that one of the batteries was not charged. So as soon as you reach, normally you reach, you jump out of the car, you mic up, you start shooting because there's only that much light, and you spent an hour on the road. And there was some problem with the equipment or something happened. And that meant that they had to either charge something or get something or whatever. So for half an hour, there was nothing that you were shooting. And I just remember sitting on the roof of that monastery. The Himalayas just all around you. It's the Himalayas, right there? Yeah, would be the Himalayas, right? Let's just call them
Yeah, yeah.
mountains to be safe.
No, it would be.
So
Sikkim, but yeah.
there were mountains, snow-covered peaks distance. And I just sat there and I truly experienced a place. Like I felt at peace, I felt spiritual, I felt calm. And only rarely when things like that would happen, like somebody would be late or the equipment would, or the batteries got discharged or something, only then would you really get to sit down and enjoy a place for those little bits. So otherwise, in a travel show, you're pretty much just sort of running around. Otherwise, when you travel with cricket, what happens when you travel with cricket is quite interesting. Because when you do a tour, when you do a bilateral tour, if you're doing something like the World Cup or the IPL, games are happening every day. So you don't have a break. But when you're doing a tour, so when I went with when I did the India-England tour 2 years ago and India-West Indies last year, what happens is you play one game and then you have a 2-day break. Yeah. Right? So in the break, especially in the West Indies, there was me, there was Ajay Jadeja, Ashish Nehra, so my brothers were there with me. And we would just explore. We'd explore Trinidad, we'd explore Guyana. We would just, then you get a chance to explore because, there's a T20 game and there's a 2-day break. Similarly, in England, there'd be a game and then there'd be a 2-day break. So that's when you really get to see a place. But when we went to South Africa with the IPL, what was it, 2009? Didn't really get to see too much of it because there was a game every day. So you would finish the game, next morning you'd get on a plane or in a car or something and then go to the next venue. So you keep moving. But the bilateral tours are pretty good.
Right. Awesome. This temple visit of yours actually reminded me of the Dharamshala Stadium. I mean, okay, the cricket stadium is right there by the mountains. Right next to which we have the indoor stadium where I've played. But I think that is by far one of the most beautiful, sporting locations in the world.
Yeah, I think so. That because it's got the Table Mountain as a backdrop in Cape Town. So that's another really beautiful stadium. But yeah, Dharamshala definitely right up there. Not Firozshah Kotla.
Awesome. Not at all. Okay, so we're sort of going to get into the rapid fire now and then get back to some of the other questions. And Jivanshu is really worried that he's insulted you. Don't worry, I don't think he feels insulted at all.
Jivanshu, relax, brother. Calm down. It's okay. Don't take anything I say so.
Right. Okay, so if I had to ask you, and hopefully you can answer this, what is your favorite episode on Breakfast with Champions then?
That's a really difficult question. I have been asked quite a few times. It's really hard to reply. It's like asking, okay, let me ask you, out of the 21 of these that you've done, which is your favorite?
Yours.
That's a really good answer. I'm gonna answer that to any guest of mine who asks me. But let me tell you, instead of telling you my favorite, let me tell you my least favorite, the one that I absolutely hated filming. I'm kidding.
Okay.
There's no relax. But that's
That would have been even more fun.
so you're getting excited. So there's a few that I tell you. Actually, it's quite easy. The one that I shot with Saurav Ganguly, because we shot it in London.
Yeah.
It's the only one we've shot internationally. So I think that is one of my favorites. The one with Ashish Nehra, of course, was quite amazing. And I don't know, man. I may just end up taking all 55 episodes, by the way, like this. Keep saying this one, and that one, and this one, and that one, and this one. And that. But there have been some cool things that we've done, like taking Dwayne Bravo to Swati. Now I know you must be a Swati Snacks fan,
Huge
right?
Swati Snacks
So
fan. Huge.
Yeah, so for people who are outside Mumbai, Swati Snacks is the institution, but it's vegetarian food, right? How would you classify that? Is it Gujarati and Maharashtrian street food? Amped up?
Yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix of everything, to be very honest. The chaat, the dosas, the pankis, everything.
There you go, right? So really not the kind of food that Dwayne Bravo eats. But he's here for the Gujarat Lions. So I said, oh, this will be a fun trip. Let me take him there. So that was a sort of fun shoot to do. As I said, the shoot with Dada, because we went to London to shoot it, because Dada is such a busy man. He's doing 17 things at one time. So this was the only place, and there was one day free between two matches that he was doing commentary for. Caught him. Caught him there. So my crew flew from India. I was already there doing commentary. So I called my director, cameraman, sound. So 3-4 of them just flew, and we shot that episode with Dada over there. So yeah, I think all of them have some special place in some way or the other.
Right.
I have given a horrible answer to what is a rapid fire. I'm so sorry. I'll be quicker next time.
No worries. Okay. So if you had to describe your other show, Miss Field, in one word, what would that word be?
Miss Field. I'd call that, I'd use 2 words: girl power.
Girl power.
I think, yeah.
What or who has been your inspiration growing up?
Nobody, man. I'm my own hero. No, I'm kidding. So there's a few. There's a few. My granddad and my dad, for their work ethic, for leading by example, and their work ethic, and just never. I wish I could be like that. I cringe and complain all the time, but sometimes I'm a diva. But from my dad, and just work ethic and being sincere and honest. I think Roshan Abbas, my big brother, was my first radio and theatre guru. Harsha Bhogle, definitely learned a lot from Harsha. There are times I have been, there was one specific time in season 4 when I had a bit of a powwow on the Extraaa set, and I was going to walk out, and my career may have ended. We had a disagreement and may have ended, and Harsha is absolutely responsible for talking me off that ledge, making me realize that I was being extra hot-blooded and keeping me there. So yeah, these are some of my idols. My dear friend Ajay Jadeja, for teaching me contentment in life, saying just chill, man, take it easy, enjoy nature, enjoy life. It's beautiful. He is very important. So yeah, there's a few people, yes. And internationally, I have a few heroes as well. I think George Clooney, for the kind of social activism that he does. Warren Buffett, for just the kind of life that he has led. So there's a few heroes that I have everywhere who have tried to follow.
Right. And if you had to, obviously, being in the sports industry, who's your sporting hero?
My sporting hero is Sunil Gavaskar. Yeah. Just straight up. Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev. I have 2 heroes. I think just for what they did for the country, what they meant to me growing up as my first heroes, based on my interaction with them and the time I spent with them, just observing them from close quarters. So it's them on field and off field, and Internationally, for me, it has been Viv Richards. Love Viv Richards. And he is also super chill. And then Martina Navratilova when it comes to tennis.
Okay. If you had to be a sports person,
You didn't ask me tennis.
Sorry?
Sorry?
No, I couldn't hear you. Sorry, what did you say?
I said I also named Martina Navratilova, who I know has not played cricket but played tennis. But Martina Navratilova is also one of my heroes.
Yeah. And if you had to play any one sport professionally, which sport would you play? Which one would you be best at?
I think tennis I would probably come the closest. Tennis is the one that I played a fair bit,
Okay.
even growing up. And I had a small shoulder injury a couple of years ago. Before that, I was playing twice a week, even like till 2 years back. So I think tennis would probably be the closest.
Right. And what would be the first thing you do if you woke up as the following people? Okay.
These Let's go. Come.
Tanmay Bhatt.
If I woke up as Tanmay, I would give all the people I have locked in or trapped or enslaved with me during the lockdown, my crew in my house, I'd give them a day off.
Okay, what would you do if you woke up as Ranveer Singh?
I'd go back to sleep because I think Ranveer should be, he needs some sleep, man. He's just such high energy. If I woke up as Ranveer, I just go right back to sleep. I'm like, it's fine. I can sleep for a day.
And what would you do if you woke up as Navratilova?
Oh, I'd go out and I'd say, I can still win another Grand Slam even though I'm 50 plus. I'd hit the court.
Awesome. Okay, so back to the regular questions. So, obviously, Extra Innings has been...
Point this line. Shivani Dandekar has joined, so I think we should leave because this is going to go downhill pretty soon now.
Hopefully she'll be able to reveal some funny things about you, some secrets, spill some good secrets about you.
We're going to speak in Australian for the rest of. We're going to speak in Australian. Has he dingo? I've got to tell you one thing about Shivani. So I've produced a show which Misfield, which Shivani presented. For me, it was always she was the first choice and the last choice to do that show because I'm such a big fan of her work ethic and her discipline. Yeah. And something I remember when she joined, she'd never done live broadcasting before. You could stand in front of her, give one page of information. She would be like a robot, and she would just absorb it. Look, how do you do this? She would just absorb it, and then you go action, and then bring it all out. I just don't know how. It's amazing, but I think that just comes because she just got like a pointy end of the arrow kind of focus and dedication. All right, Shivs, I've said enough nice things about you, so you can leave.
No, I actually wanted to say that I love the episode of Misfield with Deepika Pallikal. I think that episode was by far my favorite on the Misfield series.
Can you hear me, Mudit?
Yeah, I'm saying I particularly love the Misfield episode with Deepika Pallikal.
Yes. That's a good one. They all, even the one with Aisha, actually, they were all really good. Have you seen my cameo, the producer's cameo in the Priyanka Raina episode? I come in as a waiter to clean the table and serve coffee.
No, I haven't seen that, but I'll surely check it out.
Yeah, it's very quick.
Awesome. So, how did you sort of first get into Extra Innings, and what advice sort of would you give younger presenters who want to get into cricket or any of the bigger sort of shows?
First, I think what has always helped me, especially with sports broadcasting, is the fact that I'm quite obsessed with cricket. So I'm not obsessed with any other sport. Perhaps tennis I may be obsessed with, but cricket is the one that I have been obsessed with since I was a kid. I tried to work on football, but I realized that my obsession with it was not at the level that it should be.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of flack for it, and fairly so. I think that's fair because you, the audience, you see, the audience is not obligated to love you. Just because they have loved you in one role doesn't mean they're obligated to love you in another, right?
Yeah.
Uh, like, you know, Ratan Tata is a great businessman, one of the greatest ever. But tomorrow, if he made a music album, right, or he became a painter, I'm going to judge him as Ratan Tata, the painter, right? Not as the great businessman. You give a little leeway, but not too much. So I
Yeah.
realize, I think it's your failures that teach you more than your successes. So I think me trying to do other sport and failing at that made me realize, that where you have to, or what you need to be successful or to be good. And I think the one thing I did realize is that you have to be absolutely obsessed. So I watch CPL games. I watch, like last night, I was up till almost the entire game watching England play Australia. I watched all the test matches that happened in England. I watched whatever was happening in South Africa. So I just watch all sports. So for me, it's quite a natural progression. So how sports started was 2006 or 7, and Rohan Gavaskar and me were recounting this on my podcast the other day.
Yeah.
It's really funny. There was a tournament that was happening in Abu Dhabi. 2006. Nobody's watching it. It's an India A, Pakistan A, Ireland, Holland, I don't know who all. It's just this really random tournament in the month of May. Afternoon games, 50 overs, 5 people in the audience. The show was coming on Sahara Filmi, which I don't even think exists anymore. So they said, we want to do a pre-show, which is going to be live. Are you game? I was like, absolutely, I'm game. They gave me a chance. I said, yeah, let's jump on it. And that's how I did my first show. And one of the people on that show was Jatin Paranjpe, later became head of marketing for Nike, former India player. Nike was doing a show called Nike Locker Room, and then they were doing some stuff with ESPN, and they called me and said, will you do that? I did that. One of the ESPN people left and went to Sony to join the IPL, and he sort of called me. So I think what happened was, while it seems it's a chain of good luck, actually it was the first opportunity always sort of chooses you. And then you've got to work hard. You've got to give your best. You've got to be passionate. You've got to be sincere. You've got to be trouble-free. And that's when the people who move on to the next project will remember you and call you for the next project. So I think that's how the IPL came to me as well. It was, one to the other, but it was always people who were carrying me with them when they'd get new opportunities. Maybe because they could trust me, maybe because, they just liked my work ethic, they liked my work, but yeah, they're the ones who sort of carried me. So that's the advice I'd give to people, is that just do every day with sincerity. You have no idea. The person that you're working with, you may think that they are new and they're rubbish, and that person could be, a superstar sitting in a position of importance in 1 week. And they'll carry you with them if you did your work okay, if you were not condescending, if you were not acting superior. So, yeah.
And, obviously, being on the IPL Extra Innings, Breakfast with Champions, you've obviously come across a lot of the top athletes of India. So, initially, how did you sort of react to that? How did it feel to be, talking face to face with some of the biggest names? Because I remember, of course, back then, obviously Sachin, Dhoni, all the other top athletes, Virat, many of them sort of were talking to you, were doing, things on the field with you as well as on Breakfast with Champions. So how did you get over that awe?
Actually for me, because I had known everyone, see, I'd spent 5 or 6 years with Channel V. So what happened is, during that time, I had nothing to do with sport, but because entertainment and sport mixed so much, UV and I have been friends since we were both 18 or 19, right? We were friends since then. because Yuvi and I were such good friends, I also knew Zach and Ashish and that Bhaji and that entire generation. So, and back then Channel V was pretty cool, man. Like back, 20 years ago when I'd started my career with Channel V, VJs were the cool thing at the time. So, it was many years of doing that and knowing these people socially. I hadn't worked with them, just knowing them socially. So when I got into cricket, I was kind of lucky because I was already on like step 3 or 4 when somebody else would be on step 1. I was already been around, I knew these people. So for me, that awe factor was not there as much. I'll tell you where the awe was definitely. Was the first time I worked with Mr. Bachchan, right? Now, growing up in Delhi and, being obsessed with Amitabh Bachchan and his movies and reciting his dialogues, I got into Channel V, and I think a year into it, I was supposed to go and interview the big man. That day I was really nervous. I was nervous and I was in awe. And it's amazing, right? He knows everything. He knows every TV show, every film, every cricket game. He's just a knowledge bank, right? So he meets me and I'm taken to his vanity van to meet him. There are already 3 people there. Somebody is explaining something to him. He's instructing somebody else. And then somebody says, "Sir, hello, I'm from Channel V. I'll be doing an interview. This is Gaurav." He's like, "Oh, nice, young man. I've seen that show of yours. Very good, very good." And that's all he had to say. And I was just at ease after that. Right? Now think of the bigness of that man. He doesn't need to. I'm just some kid, right? I'm just some kid, one of 10 people who'll be interviewing him that day, right? And he just taking that extra 3 seconds was just, I learned a lot, man, from that one day. So I was completely in awe. Don't think I could sleep the night before. But then, of course, you just have to, you watch these people and you learn, man. You got to learn from them. He might learn a lot.
That shows the humility.
Absolutely. The other person that I'm completely in awe of every time, even though I have had the good fortune of spending time with him, is Shah Rukh Khan. I have not met a human being whose brain works faster than his. He's just insane. Like if you think about the business empire that he has, it is his graphics studio. I don't think people know that. But his graphics studio, which does work for Hollywood films, employs over 500 people. Right? That's just one of the businesses that he has. And then he has these sports teams, and then he produces films, and he produces television and things. So yeah. Then somebody's saying, talk about Navjot Singh Sidhu.
That was my next question.
क्या बताऊं मैं शरीफा के बारे में भाई, कहां से शुरू करूं? He's a class act, man. He's just, oh God. Confidence. One thing I can learn from the man is confidence. He will make you believe, with his conviction, he will make you believe that the sun is setting in the east. It's like, no, but it's setting in the east. छोटे मैं बोल रहा हूँ तेरे को. अरे छोटे मैं बोल रहा हूँ तेरे को. You walk away 5 minutes. It is setting. Yeah, so just the power of conviction, command over languages, English, Hindi, Punjabi, trilingual. I'm only bilingual at best. So command over languages, memory. You can tell him a poem or a joke or something, and then he just remembers it. And he taught me one great thing. He said that my logic in life is love me or hate me, but you can't ignore me.
Okay.
Great line.
Yeah. So obviously, you've worked on live TV, which you said you love because you just love doing it live. You don't need to prepare too much. But what is the idea behind Breakfast with Champions? How did you start it off, doing your own thing, and then obviously leading on to the Spotify podcast now, having this field, having various different, avenues to it?
Uh, I'd never thought about producing. It was never a thought that was in my head. I had never thought about, having a company and, doing stuff. I was very obsessed with storytelling. I always have been. And I don't believe that we make sports stories. We don't make sports stories. We make human stories with sport as a backdrop. That's what I believe. The reason why we watch sport, the reason why we invest in athletes, I don't think it's because of a particular stroke that they play. It's about how they make us feel as human beings, right? When you ask people about Sachin Tendulkar, they don't tell you that, oh, I really liked that lofted straight drive that he played. No, they'll just tell you about how he made them feel, right? People will say, haven't you heard the line, when Sachin got out, I put off the TV, right? It's not factually accurate. Yeah. I mean, people say, oh, when Sachin got out, I used to put off the TV, man. I'm such a big... I mean, there were other players, and after he got out, also India won many matches, right? But that's just that emotion. Yeah. It was just that emotion that Sachin was, that the nation's hopes rested on him. So it's always the emotion. Coming back to this, I felt like being on television and being how expensive rights are for live cricket, I think that it has to cater to a very, very large audience. In all of that, I thought that I spent so much time with these athletes. I feel like their human stories never come out on a live broadcast, right? Their game is analyzed threadbare, but their stories never come out. How can I bring their human stories out? Because they're so rich with human stories. Yeah. And that's how I thought of this show. I thought of it as an anti-TV show. I said, I'll do everything the opposite of how it's done on television. I will not talk to camera. I will not have an opening link. I will not say welcome to people. I will not say bye. There will be no break link. There's nothing. It's just a conversation with two friends. Whoever is watching is the third party, should feel like the third party at the table, which is why I decided to do it in cafes. We would have cameras far away from people. So I designed the show visually as well. So when I designed the show visually and I created it and I started producing it, was primarily because I wanted to watch something like that. It was very simple. I made it because I wanted to watch something like that. And I think that's a very good first filter. And I used that first filter when I was on radio as well. I said, if I play a song that I like, I know at least one person likes it. No? If I'm playing a song that I don't like, I can't hear the rest of the audience on radio. So I don't know how many people like it. So I'd say, at least you should make something that you'll watch. And the audience will find you.
For sure, I think that's obviously, but I think that people do not realize the sort of effort, the time that goes into creating something like this. So obviously it's a 15, 20, 25-minute episode. But what sort of time do you think what sort of time can you tell us that goes into, recording it, preparing for it, things like that? What is the backstory?
So I think the toughest thing always to do is the editing. I think that's what it is. Because the show, so what happens is, after just doing it for as long as I've done it, and I'm really old. I've just been on television for really long. So now I just know I don't need to shoot for 3 hours to get 25 minutes. I need to shoot for 50 minutes to get 25, right? I just know what goes in and how to steer it. And that just comes with practice. There's no genius there. It just comes with practice. You just know. But what happens after that is editing it. Because there are, when you watch it, I'm taking you on a journey, right? I'm taking you on an emotional journey. When the person is telling me that, they're not doing it with that in mind. They're just answering questions and we're just having a conversation. But to construct the episode, it takes us almost 9 or 10 days to edit one episode. Yeah. It takes us about 7 or 8 cuts and back and forth, change this, up this, down this, move this, drop this, add this. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on behind it. The shooting is the easy part. The pre-prod, the shooting is all the easy part. I think the editing is the hard part. Choosing the music, choosing the cuts, making the montage, all of that is the harder bit. Nobody sees it, right? Nobody ever sees that. People just think that
exactly.
gaye aur karke aa gaye. But as I say that it's the carefully constructed, careless look.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we're coming sort of towards the end of this live session, I just want to ask you about where do you see yourself and the Indian sporting industry in about 5 to 7 years?
First of all, I just hope that the planet is around in 5-7 years, the way things are going. So first, let's all join our hands and cross our fingers and pray to whatever God you believe in. And that could be a plant God. You just pray to something and say, please let the world get through this. Yeah. Where do I see it going? I see all other sport doing a lot more in India, a lot more eyeballs, a lot more people taking interest. Yeah. I tell you, man, I'm a big fan of hockey, and I did a lot of stuff with, when the World Cup of hockey happened in Orissa last year. Yeah, I did some stuff with it. I was so happy, man, when I went to Bhubaneswar. People there are insane about hockey. So we make very, very blanket statements, that India is not a fan of. No, there are pockets in it. If you go to, and you'll know this, if you go to Goa, you go to Kerala, you go to Sikkim, nuts about football, right? You go to Punjab, you go to Orissa, nuts about hockey, right? So there is this myth that India only likes cricket. I don't think so. India is many countries when it comes to loving sport. So there are large pockets, and by many countries, before people go nuts and say I'm trying to divide India, no, I mean that the population of one state supporting is bigger than a country in Europe, right? So there's enough eyeballs. There's enough football stadiums, and you know this, right? I mean, you're connected to a family that has so much work in sport. Yeah. The reason why you guys do it is because you see that love coming back, right? You're not going to be banging your head on a wall. You're not going to be spending all that time, devoting all that time to a sport. If you didn't, yes, you love it, but you also feel that love coming from the other side. And you feel it growing, and you feel more and more people getting attached and more people getting involved. So I think that in 5 years, there's going to be, I hope there's a lot more shows like Breakfast with Champions. There's a lot more podcasts. Like my podcast that I started was for a simple reason. I feel that we Indians are horrible at archiving. We had a golden era of cricket that nobody knows the stories of. So in a way, what I'm doing is I'm trying to make a time capsule. That when I do stories about Sunil Gavaskar, when I do stories about Tiger Pataudi, Vivian Richards, when I do stories going back 50 years, 80 years, 100 years of Indian cricket, I know somebody can listen to it 20 years from now and go, oh, wow, this happened 100 years ago, right? I'm just hoping, but that's the idea. So I hope a lot more people do that in a lot more sports. Like, for example, I would love to know the history of table tennis in India, right? India has had...
They're actually making a movie about this.
Sorry?
They're making a movie about one of the great players from the 70s.
Oh, really? On table tennis?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Who?
I'll connect you with a friend of mine. He used to play TT. He went into acting, and now he's sort of playing that role because he can play everything out. But I'll tell you about this off record.
That's amazing. I'm very happy. So I'm happy that biopics are getting made. I'm happy that series are getting made. I'm happy stories are being told. I'm happy that people are coming and watching more and more sport. I worked with the Kabaddi League as well. Not the Kabaddi, sorry, the Wrestling League in the first season. 5,000, 6,000 people everywhere. Kabaddi arenas are full. I think it's a bit tricky sometimes because you also have to figure out how do I price the tickets, where is the stadium, how will people get there, who will it appeal to. But I think that in 5 years it's going to be higher, faster, stronger. I don't think I'm allowed to say that, it's copyrighted. But I said it in another order, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to get better. The Bharat
Well,
Army wants to know if I can get fans on the podcast. I should get the Bharat Army. Come on, Bharat.
yeah, we should do something with that.
Sorry, I got a call.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, the Bharat Army's
Pull
been
my hair
very
back. I can't see you. The
So
Bharat Army is very sweet, man.
yeah, yeah, obviously big thank you to them. But as many people are saying, we love your look, but we also love you on the other side of it. Usually, you're the one asking the questions. Usually, you're the one putting the other one on the spot.
I'm sorry I
So
lost
thank
you.
you so much.
Oh, you're back now.
Sorry.
You're back
Yeah.
now. Okay, you were saying thank you.
Yeah, I'm just, obviously everyone loves your hairstyle, and we also love you on the other side of it. Usually you're the one putting everyone on the spot, usually asking the questions and tricking everyone. But thank you so much for joining in. And, it's truly been an honor. Good luck with IPL and stay safe. Take care.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode next weekend.